Hello YouTube family and welcome to my channel. If you've never been here before, my name is Erica and I have been a registered nurse for 7 years. I have practiced mostly in a specialty of a pediatric ICU, but I did do a short time in hospice and it was actually a really great experience. This is actually my first YouTube video ever, so help your new friend out. Give this video 1/2 of a Siskel and Ebert. Subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell to make sure that you never miss another one of my episodes. So today I'm going to tell you how to make an A in the big, bad, pathophysiology. Okay, but really y'all, patho isn't really all that bad, I promise. I think the fear of having to take patho is worse than actually having to take the patho. And I'm not gonna lie, this video is not about the easy way to get an A in patho. This is the hard work that you need to put in to make that A. So let's get to it. Step 1 is to be positive. Mindset truly is everything, and I am sure that you have already heard a bunch of horror stories from past nursing students about how bad it is to take patho. I know I did for sure, but you have to tell yourself right from the very beginning that you are going to make an A, and you need to imagine what it feels like when you see that final grade and it is an A. Also, tell yourself how much you love this class, even if it's not true. The more you tell yourself something, the more you believe it, right? So don't forget to be positive. Step 2 is to communicate with the teacher. Start talking to the teacher before the class even gets started, whether it's in an email or in person. Tell your teacher that your goal is to make an A and ask them how you can make sure that you understand the material well enough to 1, be a more competent nurse for your patient, and Q, to make an A. When I say communicate with the teachers, I mean communicate with them before you have to turn anything in at all. And this is really important, so I'm going to say it one more time for the people asleep in the back. Communicate with the teacher before you have to turn any work in. All of the extraneous assignments, discussion boards, papers, any kind of projects, communicate with the teacher. I say to communicate with the teacher before you turn anything in because there's a good chance that they want you to do an assignment a certain way, but they may not have communicated it with you. And then you're going to be surprised when you end up with a C on something that you worked really hard on. But it's because the teacher wanted you to do something the way she wanted you to do it, but you didn't know and you didn't ask. It's a true story. It happened to me when I took Advanced Patho. I worked for hours on the first discussion board and I ended up with an 86 because she had a way that she wanted for us to do the discussion boards, but it was not communicated anywhere. Not in emails, not in any syllabus, nowhere. And it does seem backwards for any teacher to handle it that way, but that's just what the truth was for the matter for me. So definitely talk to the teacher, and you never know. You may end up getting a higher grade than previously if you hadn't talked to the teacher. Step 3 is to take the advice they give you. What's the point of wasting your energy talking to the teacher and wasting his or her energy as well if you're not going to listen to what they have to say? They will stop taking you seriously if they see that you are not following the directions that they gave you. Step 4 is to create your own study guides based verbatim on the PowerPoints that you are given. I created my own outlines based on the PowerPoints for class, and I set it up in a way that worked for my brain. One trick that I used in my study guides is that I used to put pictures of things that made me happy along the way. So that I could be happy while I studied, and 6, so that I could link those pictures to a nearby topic. So sometimes on exams, if I couldn't really quite recall an answer, I could see that picture in my mind and the topic that was next to it, and then therefore be able to see the answer, because I studied my study guide so much that I had a photographic memory of what was on my paper. So that little trick really helped trigger some answers on questions that I thought that I wasn't ever going to be able to remember. Step 5 is to give yourself enough time to study. Some people can cram just the few days before the test and be able to recall everything, but I am not one of those persons. It's probably better to assume that you are not one of those persons either. And on top of that, there's a good chance you're going to have a final in your class, and you're going to have to be able to recall the material that was at the very beginning of the class 3 or 4 months ago. And if you study consistently leading up to the exam over a longer period of time, there's a good chance that that information is going to be in your long-term recall, and you won't have to try to rememorize it later in the semester. Step 6 is to make friends with the people in your class, and if you can, study with them. I understand having to review material a lot before being able to be in a group setting, because that's how I used to work. I needed to review things a lot on my own before I could be in a group setting. But if you can be in a group setting, you're really going to set yourself up for success, because on your own, you might think that you understand something, but then when you get in a group, you quickly realize that maybe you had some of the information wrong in your brain. And when you make friends, you can have them explain something to you and vice versa. And plus, you're taking pathophysiology to be able to graduate nursing school. So you're already in your nursing program taking this class. Nursing school's tough, and you're going to need those friends along the way. Plus, I still talk to and hang out with my small group of nursing friends from 7 years ago. So you're probably going to end up with some lifelong friends too. Okay, so those first few tips are pretty general that you could apply to any class, but the next few steps are going to be specifically related to patho. Step 7, know your anatomy and physiology. You know that A&P course you had to take to get into nursing school? Well, bam, it's back again. If you know how each organ is supposed to function and what their makeup is, this is going to make patho so much easier for you. You have to know what the body is supposed to look like when everything is going right, so that it's easier for you to know when something's going wrong. Step 8 is to know the definition and the pathophysiology of the disease processes down to the cellular level. These are 2 of the most important keys when you are studying for patho. If you have these 2 things down pat, you won't have to memorize all of those clinical manifestations, because if you know those 2 things backwards and forwards, you're going to know what is going to appear when this person has this disease process. Step 9 is to supplement your knowledge with other resources. My undergrad patho professor had a podcast that she recorded for us, and it was so helpful. And in Advanced Patho, I watched tons of really helpful YouTube videos online. I will put them in the comments below. Just reading straight out of the book, the information didn't really make sense to me until I was able to watch a video, and some of these videos provided really great visuals so that I could see exactly what was happening down to the cellular level. To go along that same lines, if the teacher posts something on email or on a discussion board, definitely make sure to look at it. There's a really good chance that you're going to see that material again on either a quiz or a test. I know I have for sure. Step 10 is to know the differences between the diseases that sound similar. There are so many diseases that sound just like each other. For example, ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease sound extremely similar, but there are some really important key factors to differentiate between the 2. And there's a good chance that You'll see many diseases on an exam that sound just the same, and if you don't know the key important factors that differentiate the two, you won't know how to pick out what is what. So knowing the key differences is extremely important for diseases that sound the same. And finally, step 11 revolves around test-taking strategies. For me, I have diagnosed myself with test anxiety. Nursing school definitely did that to me. I don't remember feeling quite so stressed before an exam as I did when I started nursing school. So the day before the test, try to make sure you're in a good spot where all you have to do is just briefly go over the information, try to quiz yourself. Try not to use that day before the exam to cram anything in. If you don't know it by that point, you're probably not going to know it the next day either. And then the day of the exam, do your normal routine. I used to get up, eat a really great breakfast, and then right before the exam starts, just take some deep breaths. Tell yourself that you're going to do great. And while you're going through the exam especially, just try to keep a positive mindset. It is extremely difficult to think clearly when you feel panicked. Tell yourself that you're doing great. Every single question, even if you think you've missed a question, try to push it out of your mind so that you can focus on the question that's right in front of you on your screen. All right, those are all my tips for making an A in Patho. If you have any suggestions or tips for making an A in this class or any other class, let the nursing community know, because we are all in this together. Good luck, nursing students, and let me know how it goes.